Perimenopause does not have to be the pain that everyone makes it out to be. The power of pause and creating a space for yourself to downregulate, check in with your body can be so powerful and transformational for your health. Join me as I sit down with Kate Galli and we talk about everything from behavioral practices to snacks. Yes, bring the food and join us for the episode. Hi, I'm Adrienne Irizarry. I'm an East Asian medicine practitioner who is passionate about women's health and helping women to live their best lives. My goal is to put you in the driver's seat of your health, offering holistic solutions for a symptom-free life. Statements made in this program are for educational purposes only and not intended as a substitution for medical consultation or advice. We do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. This podcast is inclusive and welcomes all gender identities. The focus of the program is on biological function, and we will use the term women throughout, but it is referencing physiological and social challenges for biology, not identity. Come as you are, I am happy you're here and welcome all performances of identity. I hope you find something helpful in this show. Welcome back to another episode of the Reproductive Rebel podcast. I am so excited to be joined today by Kate Galli. Welcome to the show, Kate.
Adrienne, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So Kate and I crossed paths not too long ago. We both work in the health and wellness world, and I was really excited about her perspective around enjoying the journey of perimenopause. So I'm really excited to have her on the show today. Tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. So I'm a vegan health coach, author, and fellow podcasters. And I'm passionate about helping individuals prioritize their health and happiness to thrive with plants. The happiness component is fairly new, Adrienne, and that ties in with the enjoying the journey component, right? Because anything that I speak to or write about a lot, it's because I struggled with it myself. And I'm sure many of our listeners can relate to being super goal focused and really driven, and you're working towards something really important. And it can be all just about the push, right? And the push, the goal, putting everyone else first. And so one of my biggest learnings of just last year, 2024, was to consciously try to get so much better at enjoying the journey while still remaining really focused on that big, important goal as well.
Ooh, I like that. I have a lot of people who ask me how to create that balance. So as an Eastern medicine practitioner, yes, she nods. For those of you who are not watching this, she nods. And it's true, like so many of us, because we live in this productivity-driven culture, we're expected to just grind through all the things. And that can lead to a lot of disharmony in health and a lot of dissatisfaction and unhappiness. So I'm really interested for you to dive in a little bit about exactly that. How do you find the happiness while you maintain the drive?
First, I'll say I don't know that I believe in true 100% balance, right? I do believe that there are seasons and that some of us are going to be, in a very career focused or business focused or family focused season where you're not perfectly balanced, right? And I think it's important to have some grace and kindness to extend to yourself when you feel like you're not nailing everything 100% equally, right? Like some things are lacking just a little bit. And, as I hinted at, this recognition that we need to prioritize enjoying the journey, it was probably building for a lot of years because I was a person that, as a personal trainer for almost a couple of decades, I treated my body like a machine. I nailed the nutrition and the exercise. However, the joy and the happiness, it was pretty much something I put off a lot. There's always time for that relaxing and whatever it is in the future when you've achieved that next big goal. And as I've shared with you already, Adrian, just over 3 years ago, more like 3.5 years ago now, my dear mum, who was absolutely the number one most important person in my world, my person, she died suddenly. And like literally, I spoke to her one Sunday morning, as I always did, walking along the beaches in Sydney, totally normal, completely happy, amazing conversation. And she was gone by that afternoon. And I didn't have the realization straight away because I was in shock, as anyone listening will relate to, for a huge amount of time, really. But gradually the realization came that I need to prioritize this joy and this happiness. And finally, to actually be a little bit more like the person that she was, although she was incredibly successful in her career as a nurse, she wasn't all about the money and the success and the prestige and climbing the ladder. She was all about being that bright spark of happy in so many people's days and just those normal human interactions that bring joy to the other person. And she was that for so many people. And so to kind of come around to answer your question, because it doesn't happen naturally for me, that enjoying the journey, I guess I had to create rules and structures for myself. And this is something that I share with my coaching clients now. You know, the things that you can inject into your day, because I love structure. Structure is amazing for succeeding in business and health, right? And if joy and happiness, enjoying the journey don't come naturally, then maybe we need to structure them as well. And one of my starting points is your morning routine and ensuring that you have something to love about your morning routine. I'm speaking a lot. I'll let you interject wherever you want.
No, I love this. I love this.
Okay.
So the morning routine, I talk to my clients about the morning routine also because it really does set the tone for the whole day. And
Mm.
in our conversation before we started recording, we had talked about the perimenopausal journey. And I find that during perimenopause, that morning routine becomes a really critical non-negotiable. It's important in every phase of life, but particularly when you're more sensitive to stress, you're more sensitive to insulin changes, you're more sensitive to cortisol changes, simply because your hormones and your body are going through a pretty significant restructuring during that time frame, that the morning routine becomes a lifeline in a busy world. It becomes a necessity to help you manage the load. Do you feel that way as well?
I love that you said lifeline. I'll come back to that. And also, you talked about everything that we're more sensitive to. I would say I am more sensitive to other people, and peri-rage has been my main symptom, right? And so, a morning routine that, as you said, sets the tone for your day and sets you up for success. Absolutely. I 100% need that. I inject some of my keystone habits into my morning routine. So, they're those big, I guess, foundational habits that it makes it easy to build other successful positive habits around. So stuff like exercise and, meditation and such, these sorts of things, right? And as you said, I've been saying recently more and more, maybe too much, that these keystone habits, be they in my morning routine, evening routine, whatever, they're like my little life raft that I am clinging to right now because whether it's Perry, whether it's our crazy, uncertain world, everything feels very fraught right now. And yeah, those habits, that routine, I would be an absolute wreck without them.
I resonate with that deeply,
Yeah.
especially with an infant now. I don't have as elaborate a morning routine as I once did, but I spend and I am intentional about spending that time in the morning to, put my hand over my heart and ask my body, what does she need today? And it doesn't sound like a lot, but that check in with myself, especially as somebody who feels the energy of others as deeply as I do, which helps in the healing work that I do, but it also
Mm.
can make in an overload situation in the
Yeah.
rest of the world, right? And in group environments. And so
being able to take that few minutes and just really check in with myself and go, what do you need today? How are you feeling today? I can tell whether somebody's bringing their own energy into it or whether it belongs to me, which has been incredibly helpful for my mental and physical health.
I love that. And as you hinted at, that morning routine, it doesn't need to be something daunting. It should be aligned with what you've got time and space for in this period of life right now. And it shouldn't be stacked with all these I must do type of actions, like some of the bros online. It's about, as I said, something that you love. And for me, it's a period where I don't want to rush. Funnily, I've always been an early riser since starting as a personal trainer. It's gotten earlier and earlier because it's the time when I'm alone. So now I'm getting up at 3 a.m. and it actually feels like a privilege, not a pressure, because that is me time and non-rushing time. And I think that calm that you get when you're just taking your time with simple things, I have my coffee looking up at the stars because they're still out with the cats milling around me. And that is just a perfect, beautiful, calming start to the day, hopefully setting the tone for that day, which is not frenzied and frazzled. There'll be parts of frenzied and frazzled, but not all day, right?
Right. I want to come back to something that you said about this practice being a lifeline because of peri rage. Talk a little bit about that if you feel comfortable. That really stuck out to me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not an expert. This is just the main symptom that has deeply resonated with me. And I'm a really emotional and passionate person. I always have been, and, for better or worse, right? And that was a component of my angry vegan journey as well. I've been vegan for 9.5 years, vegetarian 23 years prior to that. I went through 5 years of being this really angry vegan, which was not fun or effective. So I had a lot of rage there, but I guess I understood where it was coming from, And for the listeners, mum dying forced me out of that angry vegan phase because I had so much sadness and shock and grief at her passing that I literally did not have the energy to feel frustration at all the non-vegans in my life. And that let me realize how ineffective it was. Back to the peri rage, I think as with anything, I have a recognition that there are certain habits, and this will be the same for everyone listening. There are certain habits that when you prioritize them, you're just better able to cope with the stuff that's thrown your way. And whether that's business stuff or financial stuff or annoying people stuff, and you can't evict every annoying person out of your life, sadly. So it's just that laying that foundation, you know what it is for you. For all of us, is adequate sleep, whatever that happens to be for you. It's good nutrition, whatever you see good nutrition as for you. For me, 100%, it is time in nature. Like that is just a non-negotiable. A decade or so ago, I needed to have a big, long walk in nature once a week, and I'd be a grumpy bum without it. I need a walk in nature. It can be short, twice a day now. That is my coping strategy now.
Yeah.
Luckily, I live along the river, but maybe it's sitting under a beautiful tree for someone that doesn't live on the river, or a little nook in your house where you have quite a few pot plants and you're just soaking in their beautiful calm and energy. And the other thing that has become a new non-negotiable habit to help me control that rage is journaling. Like all that mess in my head, I've listened to the power of journaling from people I respect for years. The habit didn't stick. I felt like it wasn't time effective. I felt like I wasn't doing it right. Eventually, I lowered the bar to raise my chance of success. Like I did with meditation, I started with a small amount of time and the knowledge that you can't get it wrong, just right. And I actually started with the 2 words that I was seeking in my life every day. I'd write calm and clarity. And I was wanting to journal to find the strategy to achieve calm and clarity. Journaling was the strategy. That was it. Yeah, so that's a little bit of how I manage the rate. It's
Mhm.
still there. However, I think it would be a lot worse if I wasn't super diligent with those keystone habits.
Oh, I love that. It makes me think about how important it is when you are in that perimenopausal journey to have the ability for stress management. Oh, you're talking about calm and clarity. And, the tempo of life is busy. We are more sensitive to stress during this phase of our life. Chinese medicine calls it liver qi stagnation, and your energy gets stuck. You feel the
Mm,
tension in your body. And so everything that you're talking about is beautiful because it's creating that space and
yep.
allowing for the energy to flow. And I totally agree with you. Like, nature is a non-negotiable for me, and I am a grumpy person when I don't have my time in nature too. We started actually living primarily in a seasonal camper at a campground a few years ago. I could not believe the transformation in my sleep quality, and I had talked about all this stuff for years, but really literally living in nature for almost 5 full months of the year, I find that my sleep patterns become very regular, very predictable, very healthy. Going to the bathroom patterns, eating patterns, like all those things, like the biorhythm literally resets itself. And so I love what you said about, whether it's potted plants in your house or whether you're able to actually get outside in nature on a regular basis. I often encourage my clients to go take a walk outside, even if it's just 10 or 15 minutes, because of how much that changes your biorhythm.
100%.
And now a break from our conversation for a partnership message. You've been told to hustle, grind, wake up early, and do more. But here's the truth: rest is the most productive thing you can do. And the right kind of rest starts with Sia Silk Sleep Mask, your new sleep sanctuary. I've tried so many sleep masks, and I thought I just had to deal with the discomfort of slipping straps and light still getting through. But then I found this one, and I'm never going back. Made of 100% mulberry silk, it's the only mask that creates total blackout with its comfortable, oversized eye cups that don't smush my lashes while feeling weightless on my face. My sleep, next level. This isn't just a sleep mask, it's an investment in your nervous system. Sia Silk is a women-owned small business committed to high quality and sustainable luxury. Check out the show notes for the link to grab yours and rest like you mean it. And now, back to the show.
And once you've, seen the benefit, then you get to remind yourself of that benefit, a week, a month, whatever it is, on when you feel like you can't be bothered, or is this really going to make a difference? Or you have that reference point for success from the past, and just trust that. You know what works for you. Do the do. You'll feel the benefit. I am curious though, after those 5 beautiful months when your body is in this amazing natural rhythm, what is it like to go back to, the more normal, everyday type of a living and constraints that we put on ourselves? How do you cope?
That's a great question. At the beginning, it was hard. So the very first year that we did this in earnest, I actually felt anxious
Yeah.
when I went home. And I thought it was due to the fact that, you have all your household things staring at you, the things you have to pick up and sort and clean, and you have a much bigger footprint that you have to take care of. And I kind of like correlated that stress feeling with that. The second year that we came home, I realized that it was the fact that I just wasn't outside as much. So I live in southern Maine. So we get snow and cold and all the gross. And I would walk right up until it was too cold to walk outside anymore. And even then, I would still, as long as it wasn't too icy, I would try to get outside and go for a walk, even if it was just a short one, because I realized my body craved it. My body needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so much
Amazing.
happier when I honored that.
Amazing. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So, as a trainer, let's talk a little bit about perimenopause and supporting perimenopause because I know that I have a lot of clients that are really daunted by the idea of lifting weights to help with muscle loss and bone loss because they're afraid to look like a man.
Yeah, fair call. I hear it a lot. Let me assure everyone listening that you are going to A, be the absolute 5% minority, plus be so insanely on point with your nutrition and dedicate like hours, like 10 hours a week to your weights to look like a man. So don't be fearful of that. There are trainers that just, we spend so much time in the gym to put on any amount of decent muscle. I first joined a gym, almost 3 decades ago now. And I joined the gym to transform both my body and also my confidence, right? I'd met a hot dude in a club and I saw what a gym body looked like. And I thought, let's create that for myself. It was a vain goal. And, I achieved the body eventually. However, much more important was the confidence of, I call it choosing your curves, right? You can choose and sculpt the fit, strong, healthy body that serves you. I believe you and your body are a team. And one of the things that kept me in personal training for as long as I was in personal training was seeing that transformation in particularly my female clients. They rock into the gym like a deer in the headlights, terrified. It's an unfamiliar space. I get that. However, the confidence when they, learn how to do this, when they start feeling stronger, when they see the transformation that is completely within their control, they've made this happen. It is absolutely amazing. And as I said, that is a confidence that is transferable into other aspects of your life. This, hey, I did this, I made this change. And I think it's important at any age of life. However, particularly as we hit that perimenopause and, we lose muscle mass naturally anyway, man or woman, as we age. However, absolutely essential. It can be start really achievable, right? Ideally, you're in the gym 3:45 or minimum 30-minute sessions a week. If that sounds hideous and daunting, start with 3 5-minute home workouts, 3 body weight workouts at home for 5 minutes, just again to prove to yourself that I am a person that can prioritize this. I am a person that prioritizes me, my body, my health. It can be helpful to reframe it as precious you time. That is how I see it. I'm making time for myself and my body. And in support of that, something that is super important as we hit peri and menopause is adequate protein. And obviously, I'm a vegan trainer, so I speak a lot to plant-based protein. It's wherever you source your protein from. However, looking to maximize that 15 to 20 grams at each meal and even in snacks is super important as well. So, yeah, just a couple of my suggestions for the lady that is looking to get started.
I love that. Let's talk about plant-based protein. I have a lot of
Of course.
clients who struggle with the protein equation. And I have quite a few clients who are vegetarian, a few that are vegan. How do you get adequate protein, especially in the snack form? Because that's where I get a lot of questions.
Oh, I love that you went there with the snack form. I designed the 5 S's of plant-based protein, and the snack form is one of them, right? I'll go through all of them because they're all relevant. However, the star, this is when we think of your plant-based protein in the same way that we used to eat meat. So what are we having for dinner, mum? Chicken. What are we having for dinner, mum? Tofu. It's the star, right? It's the main component of the meal or the lentil curry, whatever it is. Next is the scatter over. So you're having a meal which is nutritious and delicious. It might just be a little bit lacking in protein. And again, I advocate at least 15, even 20 grams of protein per meal is ideal. So you scatter over those easy high plant protein, hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, nuts, whatever it may be. 4-bean mix is really easy. Next is the stir through. This is good at breakfast time. So you love your oats in the morning, your oats and fruit, plant milk, amazing, lacking in protein. I would stir through, again, some seeds or a plant-based protein powder. I usually keep it natural with most of my food. A good plant-based protein powder is just really quick and effective. And so I still turn to that every single day. If you've got a sweet tooth, you choose the beautiful flavor that you love. For me, it's salted caramel. And it's just a very simple solution. Next up, I'll get to snacks last, is the side. So you have this fabulous meal. Maybe you're the only veggie or vegan in the family. And, so they've made you some plate of veggies or something really sweet that they've made it, but there's no protein really. So you have your side of edamame or crispy tofu, or I do that all the time. Just very simple. Snacks are possibly my favorite because they're the fifth S, and they're a really simple way to get another 15 to 20 grams of protein whenever you need it. I love the lentils and legumes and edamame. So a cup of frozen edamame in the air fryer for 20 minutes, that's going to be around 17 grams of protein right there. So cheap, effective, delicious. I make crispy chickpeas as snacks. You season them with whatever you like, garlic powder, salt, paprika, any of that. A couple of heaped tablespoons of hemp seeds. It sounds gross, but I love them, especially if they're organic. They've got more protein per gram than beef, and they're full of omega-3s, so really good for your eyes and brain health. So any of the legumes and lentils, I love as snacks. Butter beans, don't know if that's what you call them in America, but you drain and dry, shake them with your flavorings, chuck them in the oven, and they go all beautiful and crispy while still soft and buttery in the middle. Any of that have to go there. A tofu mousse is an amazing, and that might sound gross. You don't taste the tofu. You just get all that amazing plant-based protein and calcium from it. Silken tofu with your plant-based protein powder, maybe a pinch of salt, some maple syrup. Blend that thing up until it isn't just this decadent mousse. Top it with whatever you like. They're just a few suggestions.
Ooh, I want to try some of those.
Yeah.
Yes, I really like butter beans.
Oh, good.
Ooh, that sounds really good. I'm going to give that a try.
They're having a moment right now, butter beans, aren't they? Like in the creamy kind of type of a scenario. However, if you're doing a roast, and I still do roast, there just isn't meat involved. There's all the roast veggies. And at the end, you scatter all over all the roast veggies with their oil and stuff, these butter beans that have been rinsed and patted dry. And again, they just burst open and go crispy. So got to try them.
Ooh, yum. That sounds delicious. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. So,
Pleasure.
do you have a recipe or anything that you usually use, or do you just put whatever you want for seasonings on it?
Yeah, I used to describe myself as a fussy eater and a lazy cook. And since I became vegan, I've seen it as a good way to advocate for the lifestyle by making delicious food, right? So I've become a better cook, and there's no specific recipe. You just whatever flavorings you love. So for me, it's usually going to be some salt, some garlic powder, some onion powder. If you want it spicy, you go your chili or paprika. Nutritional yeast is like every vegan discovers that and gets obsessed because it's got this umami cheesiness and it's also full of B12. So that makes anything better. Just whatever you fancy is the way to go.
Oh, I love that. Beautiful. Well, thank you, because
Of course.
snacks is where I find that most people get stuck.
Okay.
And I think some of it is that if you prep ahead of time, where you were talking about putting them in the oven and roasting them, I try to advocate for my clients, like literally do a sheet pan with a whole potpourri of different colors of the rainbow. And that will keep in a glass container in the refrigerator for most of the week. And you can use it as a
100%.
side, you can use it as a snack, you can use it as, in a lot of different ways. And it can be really satisfying while hitting. So Chinese medicine looks at like different colors of foods as targeting different systems in the body. So, if there is an area where your body isn't performing quite as well, emphasizing that color food, but eating all of the colors of the rainbow is really important.
Of course, Mum and I used to have a little competition each night when I was staying with her during COVID lockdown round one, 5 years ago now, a win the rainbow competition because we'd both have slightly different dinners, and Dad's was always brown or grey. But, Mum and mine were always a rainbow. So that's a fun little competition to have, which is ideal for your health.
I love that. I love that. So if you were to leave the audience with a kernel of wisdom around not just surviving, but thriving in the perimenopausal journey, what would it be?
Oh, do you know I'm drawn to, because I've just been writing about them this morning, the 3 questions that determine 99% of happiness, and I didn't come up with them. However, the first one is to ask yourself, how am I treating my body and why? And the thing that I absolutely emphasize with all of my clients is to consider that you and your body are a team. And you only get one body, you only get one chance. And I want to suggest that you support her as much as you can. Like, you treat her like you're on the same team, because you absolutely are. You have her best interests at heart and she has your best interests at heart. Those struggle street times that we all go through with our body, she's sending you a message. She needs something. Probably she needs more time and space and rest and patience. And that's hard for many of us at many seasons of our life. But yeah, that kernel of wisdom would be to treat your body like you're on the same team, because you 100% are.
Oh, I love that. I am actually not going to say too much more after that, because that is such a beautiful kernel to leave people with. So if people wanted to get a hold of you, Kate, what is the best way to reach you?
Thank you, Adrienne. My website is strongbodygreenplanet.com. There you will find my Healthification podcast, my Plant Positive journal dedicated to my dear mum, and everything that I do.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing those beautiful kernels of wisdom, for spending time with our listeners today. And I will see all of you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of Reproductive Rebel. Reproductive Rebel is recorded by certified peri-steam hydrotherapist and acutonics practitioner, herbalist, and Chinese nutritional therapist Adrienne Irizarry of Moon Essence LLC. If you are interested in setting up an appointment for one-on-one support, ordering from our store, or checking out our course offerings, visit our website at moonessence.life. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and get insider information on upcoming events and offerings. Join the conversation. Like and follow us at Moon Essence Me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Your voices make this program possible. Thank you all for your continued support.